Hey, what's up everybody? Thank you so much for clicking on this video today. If you don't know me, my name is Jake, and this is a video I've been wanting to do for kind of a really long time now. It's one that I've gotten a lot of questions about across social media, and probably one of the most common questions that I just get asked by people who are following my journey and also by people who aren't. So I really wanted to put together this video, partially inspired by my friend Rachel, who posted a video of kind of the same effect. I'm going to be linking that in the description, so make sure you check that out. It's really great, really informative. She's taught me everything I know about influencer marketing and working from both sides of it. A lot of this spawns from her video and a lot of this inspiration comes from her, so make sure you check out that video too right after this. But first, we're gonna dive into what I have to say here. I've seen a ton of these kind of videos, and I think my main takeaway after seeing a bunch of them was that there's not a lot of key takeaways, I guess, or they're very vague in the sense of this is just an experience and this is some ideas that some people may have of how, if you want to crack into the influencer industry, what you can do. You can't really stop the video and then get on something right away. And so that's my goal for today. Is I'm going to be giving you some key, just tangible takeaways that are really going to influence your career moving forward. I've taken this whole week just to sort of reflect and think about my best tips and my best ideas and my main takeaways throughout my experiences with collaborations with brands, just so I could really share with you some interesting insights and share some of my stories, and then also share with you some of my strategies and such for developing and completing successful campaigns. So we're going to be splitting this video into 4 parts total. The first part is going to be about why this is so important. Make sure you hang with me this whole video. I promise I'm going to be getting to some critical stuff that you are not going to want to miss. First of all, something that's really important. If you have been keeping up with the influencer industry and what you need to do, you'll kind of notice that it's not really about impressions as much anymore. It's really about engagement. The main difference is that impressions are just a view. So if you're scrolling through your I don't know, your explore page or something like that, and you see a piece of content from somebody that you've never really seen before, you don't engage with them at all, that's going to be an impression, and that's what's really, really different rather from an engagement. And an engagement is a like or a comment on a post that accumulates towards that person's engagement rate. It's a lot of math. Math isn't my strong suit, but I promise you it's not too crazy. Engagement rate is essentially likes plus comments over your total follower count. So now when brands are actually looking at accounts and sort of scouting out who these influencers that they're going to work with are, this is what they're looking at. They're looking at how many of your followers are actually genuinely engaging with your account, if they really like your content, if they're more just sort of ghost followers, for lack of a better term, I guess. That being said, a little bit about my story now. I kind of accidentally stumbled into the sort of influencer industry, and it was never actually my intention to make this a career or something I really invested in, partially because I never thought I fit into that boat, because I think most of us now still see influencers as this massive 1 million crazy numbers, making millions, that sort of bubble. But really that bubble has popped, and to the benefit of most of us actually. A few years ago, I got a DM. I thought it was super sketchy at first, but it was from somebody who was recruiting for an Abercrombie campaign, and I've talked about this before in some of my videos and such, so if you've been following me for a while, you probably know of this, but I'll just keep it so short and simple for now. Don't worry. Thought it was a total scam at first, but I was if they're not asking for my social security number and they don't want any credit card information, what could the harm be in interviewing with them? And a month later, I was on a plane to Ohio, and I was part of Abercrombie's first sort of ambassador influencer program, and it was really amazing. It was an experience that to this day has provided me with so much opportunity. I mean, just with these connections, I've been able to do other sort of magazine features, and I've moved on to do other sort of collaborations just with these connections. It's one of my major tips is to make sure you stay in contact with people, save their contacts. Do not be afraid to follow people on Instagram, follow people on LinkedIn, do what you have to do to stay connected with people. That campaign lasted 6 months, and it was amazing. It was just clocking hours, and I mean, for the very first time, I was getting a paycheck for something I enjoyed, which is kind of a feeling that I think everybody who's had that feeling kind of knows it's a huge shift in your career mindset and what you want to do. It's really, really powerful and something that you don't really forget, and motivates you a lot too. So that campaign lasted, and I learned so much just about content creation, and my Instagram profile changed to a business profile, and we were kind of off. Since then, I've done campaigns with Gillette and Allbirds and Yotel, which was one of my absolute favorites. And I think I've done some with Dunkin' Donuts, just a bunch of sporadic random things. And then I'm actually partnering with Hint Water for my summer tour this summer, which I'm so excited about. And it's something that really meant a lot to me and actually, again, happened through connections that I made with that Abercrombie campaign. So again, stick to those connections. The whole like connections is our world right now, and this is how it works is kind of a crazy thing and is really overwhelming, and it works to the benefit for some people where not to others. You just have to kind of crack into that and just know that really anybody can get you anywhere, and you just want to make sure you're holding yourself with the utmost professionalism and you're taking yourself seriously. That being said, we're going to go into part 2 now about building your brand. Don't worry, those key takeaways are coming soon. First is to really just take yourself seriously and find your voice. I think this was probably my biggest flaw in the very beginning, is that I didn't have that sort of confidence that I could deliver exactly what a brand wanted because I had no experience. But the truth be told, everybody influences from their day-to-day life. It's really just curating that onto a social media feed. Instagram's really starting to favor these values of authenticity, and that's actually my least favorite word right now because it can mean so many different things, and being authentic can be inauthentic now. It's kind of a weird thing, but that's not the point of this video. Successful influencers really just have a clear brand and they stick to it. That's also something that I've struggled with a lot because I have so many different passions about what I enjoy doing and how I want to sort of take those things on through music and my blog and YouTube and just sort of other ventures that I wanted to start on my own. A lot of that's changed and sort of has made my brand like move in a bunch of different directions. But it's really important to make sure you have an overall clear one. So I always say, think of your 3 keywords, and those 3 keywords are going to be the very first 3 words that come to your mind. So really don't think about it. It's just that sort of gut instinct, like what are your 3 words? Mine are music, college, lifestyle. Like those are the first 3 words that I think of, and so that's what I choose to focus on. And because I say college, a lot of my content caters towards younger people and this sort of youth empowerment wave, and that's something that I really enjoy being a part of. That's how I can define my brand the most clearly. If you're available and up to it, creating a website's really beneficial. It's just a really, really great way to have a streamlined main source for brands and recruiters to see your content, what you value, what you create, and you can really show off your branding. And branding means a lot more than just your mission. It's like a color scheme, it's your font, it's those sort of things, which is kind of a silly thing in the grand scheme of things. Having that clear consistency really shows that you've invested a lot and you've spent the time to think about the messages that you really want to portray and how you are going to portray them too. Create a logo. It's super easy. I absolutely love Canva. It sounds really difficult. Canva is actually pretty simple. Spend about an hour on it and you will be just about as much of a master as I am in it. There's even a free trial. Sign up for that. You can cancel it right away. You don't even have to be charged. I highly recommend actually keeping it though. It's really valuable, and I think there's an education discount too, so make sure you check that out. But you can create your logo. This is mine. It's really simple. It took me about 20 seconds, but that's just sort of the thing that I put in my email signature, which is also really important too, and is going to lead me into my next thing. I know I'm talking really fast. I'm just trying to get a lot of information in here. Having a clear email for your business, partially because it shows that you're professional and you're taking it seriously, but 2, you aren't going to miss anything. If you just have your sort of brand email included in your school email or your general email where you're getting floods of messages and sales from H&M and whatever it may be, it's going to get diluted and you're going to get lost. And it's really important to be responsive. Most brands aren't. That's the truth about this industry. You want to be on top of your game. You want to be responding the second you get those emails, because there's about a day delay in between, I would say, your response and their response. So you can take out a day, or I guess you remove all the time it's going to take for them to get back to you if you get back to them sooner, which is a simple thought, but kind of complex, I guess. With your brand, don't do anything that really doesn't fit it. I know it's really hard to especially turn away collaborations as they come up. Been really hard for me. There's been a few ones that I've had to sort of pass on just because I don't really feel like it's meant for my brand or something my audience would really want. It's a tough thing to turn away from, but you really have to, because that's going to preserve your brand. And then the next person that comes who exactly aligns is going to be all the more thrilled because you're not sort of diversifying your brand, and it's going to feel more natural and organic to them. And then spread yourself across platforms. It's a lot of work. I'm not going to lie. It's taken me a lot of time to build up and make sure I have consistent branding across all my platforms, but Instagram, obviously for influencer marketing, is the top one, so make sure you have a solid base there. I would say focus on that platform the most and invest the most time into that one, making sure you're posting regularly. It's a lot of work. You probably at least want, I can't even really safely say this number, but you do want a decent amount of posts. I would say maybe at most 20% of your content is branded, just to really make sure that you are keeping that genuine relationship and connection with your audience, because that's what really makes brands fall in love with you as a person, and that's what genuinely increases your engagement rate too. And then Twitter is also something that's really important, and of course YouTube, and then your blog as well. If you want to start a blog, no pressure, that's probably the least necessary one, but something I've started and I've actually already seen a benefit in. All right, let's move on. This is probably what you're really looking for. This is how to get collabs. Branding is all just about having a clear, consistent audience and making your audience fall in love with that brand, and then that being your main selling point when you're reaching out to brands. And remembering that really anybody can be an influencer right now. There's micro influencership now where it's like you can have less than 1,000 followers and still be paid pretty well for these campaigns. Having collaborations and paid content really shouldn't be your focus. It's never been my focus. My focus has always been creating music that I love and I want to share, and then really just having an open lifestyle and college experience that people can follow along with. And then if a brand wants to tag along on that journey, they're more than welcome. All right, how to get collabs. Probably the reason why you came here. I did a little bit of research. 61% of brands actually have a lot of difficulties when finding an influencer, and that's because there's really no major database or something for influencers to register themselves on. There's a few, and some people will probably comment a few and let people know about them, but not every brand works with one sort of base. So just know that if you're not registered on any sort of site, you're not doing something wrong, because a lot of collaborations actually come from just cold emailing and representing yourself too. Apps. This is sort of that collaborative platform where you can find partnerships. A few that I've used, I think Takumi, I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Takumi is where I've gotten partnerships with Gillette. I really enjoy it. They're the platform that has paid me the most, if you want to know that. The way they work is you have to submit a lot of your captions and stuff, and they're a little bit more strict about what you write in sort of your caption, that messaging. Understandably so though, because if a brand's paying you more, they want to make sure that messaging is getting across really well. But also it can be a lot more work for you because there's a lot of back and forth. It can take about a month to do a 2-post campaign just because of that back and forth. So just know there's a lot more work that goes into it than you think. And content creation is really tough, especially when you're like me and you're at school and you don't always have equipment to shoot, and you always have to call your friend who lives down the hall just to come over and take pictures of you, and they'll get sick of it really quick. But it's kind of just those like kind of silly things that you have to do, and probably every single person who's dove into the influencer world can tell you a funny story about what they've had to do to finish a collaboration. So those apps are really useful. I think Activate is a site that I've known of. I haven't completed any partnerships with them. They're not a very niche platform in terms of having a clear thing, whereas Takumi, I think, recommends things for me to apply to. Second is cold emailing. This one's probably the most nerve-wracking one because it takes a lot of time to figure out. Even just having an @Gmail account means that you've taken the time to take your brand seriously and you've set up this account. And then what I would do is I would turn on those alerts on your phone for that email, so the second that you get an email, you get notified about it. So on my business email, it's info@jakebrewer.com, I have alerts set up on my phone, so every single time I get an email there, it pops up on my screen, and if it's somebody that I've been communicating with, I will send a really quick reply. It's one of my New Year's goals, just to really be responsive and communicative. I just really want people to know me as somebody that responds quickly and is really open to discussion too. But when it comes to that, pitching yourself in an email is really, really difficult. You probably want to start with a hello, hope all is well. If you've written a business email, you know exactly how this goes. Make sure you provide your contact information, links to all of your platforms and pages. Think about your most impressive numbers too. For me, a lot of my numbers come from Twitter. That's where I have the most followers, but my engagement on Instagram is a little bit higher. So what I do is I just sort of accumulate all those things total, and you can just give the vague term of like across these platforms, link. I have thousands. I can be vague like that, or I can give very specific numbers too. I always link to my blog to say if you want to read some of my stuff, and sometimes I'll even link to a previous campaign if it's similar enough but not too similar to them. So I think I've linked to this Yotel campaign before, and this is actually a great segue. So I partnered with Yotel back in February because I was releasing my 3rd studio album, and I wanted to do something really, really special, and I wanted to have a place to celebrate with my friends, and I was going to be vlogging the weekend and everything in general, so I thought, why not get a brand behind this? And it was kind of one of those moments where I thought I can have a really natural integration here. I'd actually talked to Yotel and gotten their contact a year prior because I was organizing a conference. I sent them just a follow-up email and was like, hey, this is why I think I would be a great sort of candidate to represent your brand online. And something in return that they wanted was they really just asked for photos that they could share across their socials, and they did. I told them that I would share on my socials, my Instagram stories, and I would also post on my blog too. So that's where my blog actually really helped and was something unique, because it allowed me to offer an additional sphere, an additional platform to get their messaging across. And it was really fun. I really just got reimbursed for a weekend stay. I'm at their hotel in Boston, and it was super fun, super enjoyable. It was a really great collaboration, but it all just happened because I sent them a cold email, cold pitch, and just said, this is why I think this is the perfect opportunity, and I'm looking for this sort of thing, and I can film this sort of content. I pitched them a couple ideas about unique things I wanted to write about. We ultimately just decided that I would say I spent the weekend at Yotel on my blog to celebrate my album release, and I gave them some content that my friend luckily came and shot for me, and that was it. And it was great, and I would happily work with them again. And all of that happened because I was really responsive to, and I was just constantly going back and forth. I think they even requested a couple phone calls with me just to make sure I knew what their messaging was and I could get it across really well too. Always be open to that. Always give a phone number, an email address, whatever it may be. You want to show that you're really just a person and somebody who's really easy to work with. Even though it is a business relationship, think about you as an individual, because that is what your brand is. And then I would briefly want to talk about this collaboration with Hint that I have coming this summer. This actually happened through a connection, so I got her to talk to the brand because she was working with them because she was a friend of mine. And again, that all happened through cold emailing, and luckily she was willing to be that sort of middleman in between me and the brand. But we've had some really great conversations, and having somebody to advocate for you is really important too. And again, that just takes time and that takes connections. That's why it's really important to follow up. Make sure you always say thank you after a campaign too, just because they put a lot of trust in you, especially starting out, and especially where I even still am. It means a lot that they're gonna invest time and energy and their own hours and their own money into trusting you. And then finally, part 4, this is really what to expect. And I've kind of touched on sort of these points before, but it's a lot of back and forth. It's a lot of work. I know you probably have seen videos before where people just talk about, oh, they're just responding to emails all day, and that's what kind of a day in their life is like. It's true. You don't even really know where it happens, but emailing is a huge part of it. A lot of times brands will give you almost exactly what they want you to say. Always feel free to go back and say, I think my audience will see this as a little more natural if we sort of change to this, like this is my catchphrase, that sort of thing. Brands love that. They know that you are there to portray their message, and it really has to come from you. Very much have the sort of imposter syndrome where you don't feel like you belong in this position, but just know everyone does and everyone can, and there's absolutely no reason why you don't belong in this space and why you can't be in this space. You can build a brand, whether if that's just your friends supporting you at first. Ask them if you do your very first branded post, hit up a few friends and say, you need to comment on this, show them that I have this engagement. It takes that sort of thing at first just to really show that you're serious about this and you can give results. So be transparent about it. Be open to communication, be responsive, and really just stick to your brand. And that being said, your brand can evolve too. Don't feel like you have to stick to one thing the whole time, but make sure you have a clear message and a clear attitude, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there and just be bold with it too. Because no matter what people say, they're gonna be always in admiration of things you can accomplish. Hopefully answered a few questions you have. I have no idea. It's such a strange industry, and it's something that's evolving and it's quickly growing. Now is the time to jump on it. I highly encourage that right now, you're at the end of this video, what you're gonna do is you're gonna set up that email, a free Gmail account. Just do it. Think about your brand, write a pitch draft, just make sure you have that set. Change your Instagram profile to a business account so you can have those analytics. So really just be familiar with your numbers, be familiar with your audience. It takes a lot of time, but the more you educate yourself about your brand and what you can deliver and do, the better and the more confident you're gonna be. If you have any other questions, feel free to just hit me up on social, whatever. Turns out I'm on there. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and make sure you check out future videos and stuff. And you have any other questions, of course, comment below or just send me a DM too. I'm always open to that sort of thing. And if you have any tips or advice that I may have skipped over or forgot to mention in this video, make sure you share those too. This is very much a community, and I know a lot of people are trying to make an influencer community a really just space for supportive the energy, and just really all around good teamwork and collaboration. I know it's really, really important, and that's how we're gonna grow and build by learning from each other too. So make sure you're supporting that. I'm here for you if you have any questions. But again, thank you so much for watching and supporting me by watching this video. I will see you guys soon. All right, bye.